The rain fell hard against the windshield as Daniel sat in his old pickup truck outside a closed grocery store at 2 a.m. His hands rested quietly on the steering wheel, even though his whole world had just fallen apart. Earlier that same day, he lost his job. By evening, the bank had called about his house payments. And before midnight, his wife packed a suitcase, took their son, and walked out the door without looking back. Most people would have screamed. Some would have broken down. Others would have blamed the world. But Daniel just sat there in silence, staring at the empty parking lot with tears in his eyes and one strange thought in his heart. Maybe someone out there is hurting even more than me. Before we begin this emotional story, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Welcome to Kindness Story Hub, where every story reminds us that kindness can change lives in ways we never expect. Daniel Brooks had lived in a small town in Ohio his entire life. He wasn't rich, famous, or special in the eyes of the world. He worked at a local furniture warehouse for almost 20 years, lifting heavy boxes and driving delivery trucks across town. His hands were rough, his back constantly hurt, and his paycheck barely covered the bills. But Daniel was known for one thing. He was kind. Every morning before work, he stopped at the same gas station and bought coffee for the elderly man sitting outside with his dog. Every Friday, he secretly paid for one struggling family's groceries at the supermarket. He never told anyone about it. He believed kindness only mattered when nobody was watching. Still, life had not been kind to him lately. The warehouse had started cutting workers because business was slow. Daniel kept hoping his name wouldn't end up on the list. But one cold Monday morning, his manager called him into the office. "I'm sorry, Dan," the manager said quietly. "We can't keep everyone." Just like that, 20 years disappeared in less than 2 minutes. Daniel walked out carrying a cardboard box with family photos, an old coffee mug, and a fading employee badge. Some workers looked away awkwardly. Others pretended not to notice. Daniel simply nodded and said, "Take care of yourselves." That evening, things got worse. His wife, Melissa, had been unhappy for years. The stress, the money problems, and the endless arguments had slowly broken their marriage apart. Losing the job was the final blow. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered while zipping her suitcase. Daniel looked at her, exhausted and heartbroken. "I know," he replied softly. Their 10-year-old son, Ethan, hugged his father tightly before leaving. "Dad, are you gonna be okay?" Daniel forced a small smile. "Yeah, buddy. I'll always be okay." But after the car disappeared down the street, Daniel sat alone in the dark house and realized he had absolutely nothing left. No job. No family. No answers. The next morning, he woke up on the couch because he couldn't bear sleeping in the empty bedroom. The silence inside the house felt unbearable. He opened the refrigerator and found only half a loaf of bread and expired milk. For a moment, hopelessness hit him hard. Then his phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. "Mr. Brooks, this is Nurse Amy from St. Luke's Hospital. I'm sorry to bother you, but Mr. Jenkins keeps asking for you." Daniel frowned. Mr. Jenkins was an old man he used to help at the grocery store. About a year ago, Daniel noticed him struggling to carry bags during winter. Since then, Daniel visited him every couple of weeks, fixed things around his house, and brought him soup sometimes. He hadn't seen him in over a month. Daniel drove straight to the hospital. Mr. Jenkins looked weak lying in the hospital bed, oxygen tubes resting under his nose. But when he saw Daniel, his face lit up. "There you are," the old man smiled weakly. "Thought you forgot about me." "Never," Daniel replied. They talked for hours. Mostly small things. Baseball. Old memories. Bad coffee. But before Daniel left, Mr. Jenkins grabbed his hand. "You know why people love you, son?" Daniel shook his head. "Because even when life beats you down, you never stop being good." Daniel felt his throat tighten. Nobody had said something kind to him in a very long time. Over the next few weeks, Daniel struggled badly. He sold tools from his garage to pay bills. He skipped meals to save money. Some nights, he sat alone wondering how everything collapsed so quickly. But strangely, he never stopped helping others. One freezing evening, while walking out of a convenience store, he noticed a young woman crying beside her car. Her tire had blown out, and she looked terrified. Most people walked past her. Daniel quietly set down his groceries and changed the tire himself in the freezing cold. The woman tried handing him $50. He smiled gently and shook his head. Just get home safe. Another day, he saw a teenage boy stealing sandwiches from a gas station. The owner grabbed the kid angrily. Daniel stepped forward immediately. I'll pay for it. Outside, the teenager admitted he hadn't eaten since yesterday because his mother lost her job. Daniel handed him the food and said, "Hard times don't make you a bad person. Don't forget that." Word slowly spread around town about Daniel's kindness. People began noticing the man who quietly helped others while carrying his own pain. But Daniel had no idea his life was about to change forever. One afternoon, he received another call from the hospital. Mr. Jenkins had passed away peacefully during the night. Daniel sat silently after hearing the news. It felt like losing the last person who truly saw him. A few days later, Daniel attended the funeral. Hardly anyone came. Just a few nurses, neighbors, and Daniel standing quietly near the back. After the service, a lawyer approached him. "Are you Daniel Brooks?" "Yes." "There's something Mr. Jenkins left for you." Daniel looked confused. Later that day, the lawyer handed him a small envelope and a set of house keys. Inside the envelope was a handwritten letter. "Daniel. Most people visited me out of pity. You visited me out of kindness. You never asked for anything. Not once. When my wife died, I thought the world had forgotten me. Then you showed up with groceries, fixed my broken heater, and sat listening to my stories like they mattered. You reminded me that goodness still exists. I don't have children to leave my home to. So I'm leaving it to you. Promise me one thing. No matter how hard life gets, never stop being the man you are." Harold Jenkins. Daniel's hands shook as tears rolled down his face. The small house wasn't fancy. But it was fully paid off. For the first time in months, Daniel felt something he thought he had lost forever. Hope. But the story didn't end there. A local newspaper heard about Daniel's kindness and Mr. Jenkins' final gift. They published an article called "The Men Who Stayed Kind After Losing Everything." The story spread online quickly. People across town began reaching out. A mechanic fixed Daniel's truck for free. A diner offered him meals. One man who owned a hardware company offered him a full-time job after reading the article. "You're exactly the kind of person I want working for me," the owner said. Slowly, Daniel rebuilt his life piece by piece. Months later, while working at his new job, Daniel saw Melissa standing outside the store one afternoon. She looked nervous. "I heard about everything," she said quietly. Daniel nodded. She looked down at the ground. "I'm sorry for leaving when things got hard." Daniel stayed silent for a moment. Then he said softly, "We both made mistakes." What happened between them afterward took time. Trust doesn't heal overnight. But Daniel welcomed Ethan back into his life with open arms, and slowly, the broken pieces of their family began finding their place again. One evening, Ethan asked his father something that stayed in Daniel's heart forever. "Dad, how did you stay so calm when everything went wrong?" Daniel smiled gently. "Because pain can either make you bitter, or make you kinder. I decided I didn't want my pain to hurt other people." Years later, people in town still talked about Daniel Brooks. Not because he became rich or famous, but because he proved something powerful. A person can lose almost everything, and still choose kindness. And sometimes, kindness comes back when you least expect it. So if life feels heavy right now, if you feel forgotten, broken, or tired, remember Daniel's story. The world does not need more angry people. It needs more people who choose kindness even when life is unfair. Because one small act of kindness can save a stranger, heal a heart, or completely change a life. And maybe today, that person could be you.